And I think there are two things here. I mean, is this hysterical overreaction and a bit a witch hunt, or I mean, if this man is supposed to be had all his titles taken, privileges taken away, then they all have to go, and that includes being Duke of York and his associations with the city. But I think in some ways this is a side issue. That the bigger questions are about other members of the royal family. I think the fact that Prince Charles has been questioned by police is very serious. But also, I think there are bigger questions about the Duke of York and his financial dealings, quite separate from these allegations and his settlement. So I think it is. We're moving into very dangerous ground here.
Forgive me, Andrew, forgive me for jumping in, but I mean the fact that you started off by saying, "Well, could this be a witch hunt?" Do you think it is?
Well, I think he for whatever reason made a settlement with Virginia Giuffre, and clearly he's never going to have anything tested in court, which of course he was very keen to have tested only a few weeks ago. But the fact is, people are innocent until they're found guilty. I mean, he has certainly been found to not be telling the truth on a whole series of occasions, and I think the hope was that the problem would go away if he did the settlement. But of course, it's a crazy settlement. I mean, there's still a good chance that other people will pop up, that there will be further investigations by the law enforcement agency, and that she may well go ahead and do an interview and a book. So he's not off the hook at all. I think there's this is sort of gesture politics. I mean, I suspect he did very little for the city of York. And so this is all just jumping on a bandwagon. I think where the press should be focusing is on his commercial activities and how he abuses public position as a trade envoy for private gain. And I think there are wider questions too about where this money is coming from for the settlement and his own finances. We've got the question of his house, which was bought for far more than it was worth. We've got the Swiss ski chalet. We don't quite know what's actually happened there. And he has property abroad that he was given, particularly in the Middle East. Again, I think he needs to come clean on his finances and who is actually funding this settlement.
I mean, from his perspective, the nightmare is clearly not going to stop, is it? But at the same time, we have the Platinum Jubilee of the Queen. We know that we've always been told that he is her favourite son. This is going to be really appalling for her, isn't it? And also for the monarchy, given that she is getting older and she's looking to her succession. Do you think this is rocking the royal family almost as much as, for instance, the abdication?
Yes, I think it's at the same level. I think we're at very dangerous territory here, because even the Queen has been smeared, but has become associated with some very dodgy dealings with Middle Eastern sheikhs. So, there is still sensitivity about Charles taking over and Camilla. We've had 70 years with the Queen, who's earned extreme respect, but I think that's not going to continue. I have to say, this is all part of a wider debasement of public life. I mean, we see it in politics with the way politicians have operated. And I think we're also seeing less deference to the royal family. I mean, there's now a challenge to the Prince Philip's will. The press are much more prepared to be critical of the royal family. And I mean, we're seeing huge rise now in support for organizations like Republic, who are anti-monarchy. So I think the next 2 or 3 years are going to be very dangerous for the royal family. They don't really have very good advice. They had a very good private secretary to the Queen, Christopher Geidt, but he was moved out by Prince Charles. And there's no one really to stabilise the ship. Prince Philip is dead. The Queen really has more or less retired from public life. I mean, they're not saying that, but quite rightly at the age of 96. And there's a sort of vacuum there that people are stepping into. And, the one thing we haven't mentioned is Banquo, Prince Harry. What's he going to get up to this year? I don't think they're by any means out of the rough.